All right, so today we're taking a look at the PETLIBRO Smart Cat Water Fountain. This is the fountain I use every day for all 4 of our cats in the house. And if you're familiar with something like the litter robot and how much of a massive impact that has on your house, I say that this fountain has the same impact on ours. I definitely will not go back to the old fountains that we've had. This fountain is by far the most attractive, best design that we've used. And I really enjoy how easy it is to clean and the pricing and just kind of value that you get out of it. So we'll go ahead and unbox it and show you all the different components and why I like it so much. And I'll put some clips in the video of all my cats enjoying it. So without any further ado, we'll dive in. So while I go ahead and unbox it, the camera is going to shake a little bit, so I'll just cut away and show you some pictures of my cats. I've had cats my whole life. We have got 4 now. We're a multi-cat family, and they really like to use the water fountains. And historically speaking, I've found that most of these water fountains you buy from PetSmart or Chewy or Amazon or whatever, pretty disgusting, pretty hard to clean, just overall pretty basic in terms of build quality and not really well thought out in terms of smart design. They just get pretty gross pretty quick, and I've not been too happy with them. Pretty much tried every one on the market at this point, and this is the only one that I felt is worth recommending. There is a not smart version of this as well. So this one has smartphone connectivity. There is one that does not have that feature, but I'll explain why I think that's worth having. But overall, just take a quick look at it here. So you have two real main components to this fountain. You have the actual fountain itself and the internal components there. And then you have this base, which is actually what sits beneath the fountain and has all the power connectivity and the Wi-Fi and all that. All right, so I've got all the parts here on the desk. Now that I have everything out of the box, we can go over each one. This is the 2.5 liter basin that we've got with the PETLIBRO water fountain. Got the water indicator lines on the inside. Very, very easy to clean. No removable parts or anything you have to disassemble here for the basin. You just wipe it with a dishcloth or whatever, and it's very, very easy to clean. The next part is the pump itself that'll sit on the inside. And you'll notice this does not have any cables coming out of it. And that's my favorite part about this entire fountain, is that this does not use any cables in the basin itself. It communicates through the bottom of this directly to the dock, which is sitting here, through magnets. And that is how the pump runs. And so what that means, and if you have cats and you have fountains, you might know that after a couple weeks, the water gets kind of slimy and nasty and just gross. And you have all these like cables and stuff sitting in the water. You have to clean all of it, and you can never get it all completely clean. It's just not a great design, in my opinion, for most fountains, but this one is by far my favorite because it completely eliminates the need to have a cable sitting in the water itself. So I'll go ahead and put it all together and show you how it looks. But basically, this is the rubber piece that goes over the pump itself to ensure that water is going the correct direction. This sits right on top of it. Everything lines up very, very nicely. Then you have the filter itself that will sit right here. And you actually end up soaking this in water for about 5 minutes before you install it. But it has a very nice secure fit here. This goes right on top, and then you snap that right on. And that's it. I mean, this is literally the entire design fully assembled. The base plate is what's going to sit in the permanent position wherever you want the fountain to be. In my case, it sits in the living room. That is what plugged into the wall. You can remove the fountain immediately from that. There is a weight sensor inside of this that tells you basically, hey, the water level is going down and it needs to be refilled. And then as the cats use the fountain, it says, hey, a cat just drank like 0.04 ounces of water. So you actually know that the cats are using it, which is not something that was immediately known to me using the other fountains. I actually was not sure that they were ever using the Catit fountain that I had previously. Unless I physically caught them drinking the water, I wasn't actually sure they were getting their daily fill or whatever. So it's nice to know that they are using it. And again, the Wi-Fi connectivity with the app is great. So this sits here. Same design as the other model that doesn't have smartphone connectivity, but then the fountain goes right on top. Disassembly is very easy. So if the fountain says, I'm out of water, or hey, it's been 2 weeks and you need to clean me, you literally just pick up the fountain and remove it, go straight to the sink, and you just snap these 2 things here, and you can pull the entire top off if all you're doing is refilling it. That's how you refill it. Just fill up to that water line. But again, if you're doing the full cleaning, you would just remove this, take the pump apart, change the filter screen. Then of course this is how you remove the filter itself. Very easy. Really only a couple parts that have to be removed to do a full cleaning on this. Everything lines up very nicely. This rubber part is very flush with the base of the lid, which is a problem I've had on other fountains where they don't quite line up. But the fountain is, or the pump rather, sits exactly on the bottom of the basin and flows all the way to the top. And I only bring that up because I have a Catit water fountain that I will show you that does not does not sit flush on the bottom and actually, I'll just show you. So I have here a very popular water fountain, a competitor to this PETLIBRO. Not smartphone capable, so definitely a different class of fountain. They do offer this one with a stainless steel basin at the top as well. So somewhat comparable to some of the PETLIBRO products, but in general, I think this is probably closer to 30 bucks than 60. But this is one of the ones I really just never liked the design of, and I'll show you why. To take it all apart, so you have these two parts, and then you have the filter that sits here, and then what you end up having is the fountain that doesn't quite sit all the way at the bottom. So rather than having the smart design of the PETLIBRO, fountains like this just have a generic pump and they cut this kind of piece of rubber to fit. What ends up happening is when you connect it to here, it actually doesn't touch the bottom of the fountain. So you can see it's just floating there in the middle. And so what would commonly happen is that this fountain would always run low frequently. And it wasn't really low. It was just because this isn't actually touching the bottom of the basin. So there's always issues with the pump kind of making noise and running, on empty, so to speak. And in general, I just didn't think it was a great design. And I actually had to go to a hardware store and find a piece of rubber that was longer than this. But I went ahead and replaced it with the original one just so you can see what I'm talking about. You shouldn't have to do that if you're buying a water fountain. You shouldn't have to go to a hardware store and make changes or fixes to it. The other part that I just find completely disgusting, in my opinion, is the fact that this cord just sits in the water all the time. And it has, traces all the way back to the bottom of the fountain. And with not so much this one specifically, but other designs that I've had in the past, what would happen is that condensation would build on the cord and it would travel all the way down the bottom. And what would end up happening is it would sit on my floor and condensation would slowly accumulate. It wouldn't be very noticeable. It wouldn't be like a constant drip or a leak or anything. It would just, there would be condensation developing here and on the bottom of the plastic tub. And my floorboards would warp. So literally there's some wooden floorboards in my kitchen downstairs that are completely warped that I installed about 3 years ago, and they're already warped because of a cheap plastic fountain like this that was developing condensation on the cable. It's just one factor that's completely removed by getting the PETLIBRO with the superior design. So that's just one big reason why I just dislike this type of fountain. Not to mention the fact that it doesn't tell you when it needs to be cleaned. You just have to keep a mental note. Another design I really did not like, but is very common, is this like big stainless steel multi-cat basin. This one's much larger in terms of capacity than the PETLIBRO. But there's so many different parts to this and it gets so gross so quickly. So you take all these different plastic pieces off, you throw everything in the dishwasher, you pull this off, you throw that in the dishwasher. Then you have the pump and filter screen itself there at the bottom. Never was too happy with this design. Again, you have a cable sitting in the basin, which is just nasty to me. Filter mechanism itself is this like piece that sits right in the middle and it connects to the pump here at the bottom. Sometimes it would line up well, sometimes wouldn't, but just go ahead and show you how many different parts are involved in this. So here we have the actual filter itself. This is the carbon filter. But look, I mean, there's just so many more parts involved. The water is just kind of always open and exposed. Like the entire water supply is open and exposed to dust, cat hair, what have you. So this thing would just get gnarly really fast. I definitely don't recommend this model whatsoever. This was $79.99 for me. The filters themselves, you got to replace every 2 weeks. They're about $3.18 a piece. You buy them in these packs of 4 or 8. I do find that 2 weeks is very accurate in my experience. In fact, I actually would probably recommend cleaning it like every 9 or 10 days rather than waiting the full 14. Because once I do actually get the notification that I need to clean it up, pull it apart, it is a little bit slimy. It is kind of nasty already. I don't know how much I want those cats actually drinking that water. But the filters, definitely come out looking a little bit better than the previous models that I showed. They're, I think that the 2-week mark is the maximum I would go between cleanings. I have a PETLIBRO like food dispenser as well, a smart food dispenser. And for whatever reason, this is using a completely different app than that. So the food mechanism uses a PETLIBRO Lite application, and this one just uses the PETLIBRO app. So I've one app for my water and one app for the food. It sounds like that's not the case for most people. There's something about they're transitioning between maybe different chipsets in the smartphone connectivity, whatever. So one works with the new app and one doesn't. I don't know. For me, it seems like kind of a crapshoot. You either get a set that works together on the same app or you don't. So unfortunately for me, I have to use 2 different apps for the food and the water. It's really not that big of a deal, but it is kind of, annoying. I wish that they would all use the same app. There is a $49 version that does not use the smartphone. I do think this one's worth the upgrade because it is nice to know, A, that it's time to clean the fountain or when it's getting low on water, because you can't see the water level without pulling this thing apart. So it's nice to know that, hey, it's getting low, time to refill it. That's not something you get on the other version. It's also just nice to know when the cats are actually drinking from the water. The other fountains, I would never really know if they're getting enough water every day. Or, I have one cat with a kidney issue and he needs more water than the other 3. And I can tell when he uses this one because he's drinking more water than the other 3. And I just get to keep track of, how much water is being drank every day. And it's nice to know because, if they need more water, I can get them more water, especially the one with the kidney issues. That's important to me. And as far as 2.5 liters being more than enough, I have 4 cats, as mentioned, and I really never find myself having to refill this that often. And if I have 4 cats and can get away with it, then if you have 1 or 2, then don't even worry. All right, so I think that's all that I have for today. But I do highly recommend this one. I'll leave a link to it in the description. I'll also leave a link to the one that is cordless and the one that is not smartphone functional. This is the one that I would recommend of the 3. I think there is a use case for the cordless one just because you can put it somewhere that's not near an outlet. You can put it like on your patio, for example. I can see the benefit of that. But that's all for today. If you have any questions about this, feel free to leave them in the comments. Happy to answer any questions about this fountain or my cats. If you have any questions about them, I will be dropping photos and videos of them throughout the video, showing you them using this fountain. And if you are curious, I'll leave their names on each clip. All right, take care.